now listening to Vigilantes Radio, presented by the Only One Media Group. This is the people's choice for quality interviews, celebrities, and special guests. Hosted by Demetrius Dinny Reynolds. Call in to join the mix at 701-801-9813. For the complete archive of episodes, visit onlyonemediagroup.com and be sure to like us on Facebook at Vigilantes Radio. We welcome all. Enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your host, Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. Enjoy the show.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another incredible episode of Vigilantes Radio Live right here on iHeartRadio. And I am your host, Dini. We have a very special guest for you guys. You could definitely want to stick around for that. And as a matter of fact, text your buddies, family members, or even share it on social media right now and let them know that we are about to dive deep into another interview. Before I bring my guest on, I do want to say that, some things are not so easy. It is easy to do nothing, okay? We've all established that fact. Yet, what is easiest is not always what is best. It is easy to hope for the best outcome, but to actually bring it about often requires difficult and even painful decisions, actions, and solid, tangible commitment. I'm not saying for everything. Sometimes you get a get there free card. It is easy to criticize the actions of others, particularly in hindsight, or to speculate about what should have been done, but nothing ever has been accomplished by criticism or speculation alone. Accomplishment comes from those who are willing to put themselves on the line. The world moves forward because of those people who stepped up to do what is right and what is best rather than just what is easiest. Taking the easy way out can often lead to results that are not so easy to handle, and doing nothing is easy to justify and easy to implement. But in the long run, it ends up being a difficult, burdensome way to live. So make your choices based not on what is easy, but on what is best. And do what you know needs to be done. That's the strategy to take you where you truly would like to be. My name is Coach Dini, and change is possible. Are you ready? To the show. You're listening to VRL, that's Vigilantes Radio Live, right here on iHeartRadio, and I am your host, Dini. Our interviews are designed to go beyond music, news, books, art, acting, films, technology, education, entrepreneurship, entertainment, and sometimes even past that thing that we call the ego. Our interviews are designed to go behind the scenes and into the minds of these incredible human beings. The ones who are out there giving it their all for me, for you, and for the world. Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we are honored to welcome a true visionary in both media and in music. Larry Rifkin, known for his groundbreaking work and deal between Barney and Friends and PBS. Larry Rifkin has an incredible knack for storytelling and has seamlessly transitioned into the world of music. With his latest album, Southern Border, created alongside the talented Alasdair MacKenzie, Larry showcases his passion for diverse melodies and heartfelt lyrics. From sensual love songs to political satire, Larry's artistry knows no bounds. So please join me in saying welcome, friend, to the phenomenal Larry Rifkin. Hey, welcome to the show.
What an introduction. Thank you so much. I hope I can live up to that.
Oh, man, you did, Mr. Larry. You did. So,
well, thank you so much. I mean, I'm so glad to be here. And I love the way the show opened and what you said about having to do something and put yourself on the line. I think it's a critical moment for that message to spread to the land.
Indeed, indeed. You are right, man. We are in a new year and have a new political season ahead of us. And, you know, if you really want to voice something or change something, put yourself on the line. Just don't be one of those ones that are sitting in the back saying, yeah, no, you know, not participating, but just yelling from the crowd.
Well, you know, Southern Border, the song itself, really, I guess, cuts across the grain of what a lot of people are thinking about immigrants today. And I heard enough about people being maligned, even though they're there for us in many cases. And now we've got construction companies in Texas. We've got, you know, farmers in California saying, you can't take away my workers. And everybody knew that these folks were working for us. And the whole idea of expel them or exploit them, to me, was just too much to hear. And that everybody was being maligned with the same brush. And sure, we've got to get to the border in order, but that doesn't mean that we demean so many of the people who are here so honorably trying to do just the hard work and find a better life.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. Because when those jobs were available for even the American people, and I'm from one of those towns that people just didn't want to do that type of work anymore. You know, they wanted the suit job instead of the agriculture or the farming, or, you know, and there's people who wanted to work came in and took those jobs because, I don't know, American people didn't want them anymore. So you're right. We have to, just can't expel them, you know.
No, and we've got to find a better system. But the whole idea that we don't want immigrants, and I hate the feeling that we're really isolating this conversation, not you and I today, but to people who are of a different skin tone than many people who are out there yelling, yeah, mass deportations now. I mean, it sends a very bad signal. I don't hear anybody saying, let's deport Eastern Europeans, or even Asians who actually have been coming over here in greater numbers from a percentage standpoint without full documentation. I don't really hear that.
You don't hear it at all. Yeah. You know how it goes, man.
I do. Well, you know, this album that we just put out under the name Rockaway, that's kind of the ensemble that Alasdair MacKenzie and I have labeled and pinned on ourselves. And by the way, this is a 72-year-old guy from Connecticut working with a 27-year-old guy from Boston. And we've been putting some interesting music together the last couple of years. Our first album was called It's Not My Circus, and we got a lot of play across the country on college radio stations. And I thought it was just so cool that at this point, the merger of two generations, and they're not even near each other, they're not even adjacent. We're talking about, somebody who, I don't know what he is, Gen Z or whatever it may be, and then somebody who's a boomer coming together to make music together. And it's a wonderful, kind of a collaboration that we've developed thanks to my daughter and son-in-law who introduced me to Alasdair after doing a lot of demos on my own, just me and my keyboards. And they went out, unbeknownst to me, got one of them produced. And I love what he did with that song. And so we've just been working together ever since. And that's about 2.5 years now.
Nice. That was the first question, you know, what was the story behind the collaboration with Alasdair? So when you guys initially met, what was your first impression of Alasdair?
Well, honestly, Alasdair and I have only physically been together. This is the nature of technology today, and I know your show deals with arts and technology, music, the whole gamut. But Alasdair and I have only met once. Everything else we've done is by virtue of telephone calls and emails and back and forth. trying to get the sound that I hear in my head really pinned to a recording. And Alasdair is such a brilliant multi-instrumentalist. And I always tell people, because I teach courses for older folks at the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute that we have in Connecticut. They have them all across the country. And I tell older people, if you really want to do well by yourself in this phase of life, which can be difficult, let me let you know that, as a lot of your own capabilities, you're beginning to question your own value, your own worth, because you identified as what you did in your career. And I see a lot of people my age floundering, and I say to them, grab a hold of a young person and take what they can do and take what you have in terms of experience, wisdom, and put it together. And it's an unquenchable combination, and invincible in many ways if you really combine those talents.
Indeed. I do have an interesting question. If you could perform one track from the album anywhere in the world, because I read that this album was kind of inspired by your wife. So if you could perform just one track from this album with your wife in the audience, where would it be and why?
Where or which one?
Where, anywhere in the world, and where would that be and why?
That's a great question. I hadn't thought about where, because I'll get to that. But Alasdair and I were going to do an open mic a few weeks ago in Worcester, Massachusetts, and we had two songs picked out, one being Southern Border itself, and the other being a song that I wrote to my wife after she helped me through a health scare that I had last year, and it's called The One Promise. And I did a three-song suite on the album dedicated to Carmelita, my wife, and it's got three songs that mean a lot to me because they're all about her. But The One Promise is the one that I would want to sing to her. Where I'd want to do it, that's a really tough question. I'd say if I could go anywhere, not because I'm the piano man like Billy Joel, but because I'm a big Knicks fan, and I love the Garden. And if I could do it in Madison Square Garden to 19,000 people and really shout it out loud to her, that would be wonderful.
Yes, indeed. So, Southern Border is a mix of love songs, satire, and introspective pieces. What truly inspired the album's wide range of themes?
Well, it's just my nature. I really like the fact that I think there's nothing on the album that repeats itself. You can listen to one song. Well, first of all, I trade off with lead singing with Alasdair. Now, Alasdair's got the beautiful voice, and he's got the voice, as someone wrote. But I have a little grittier, a little raspier voice, and so I take some of the songs that I think I can represent well, and then I leave to Alasdair those things that really need his beautiful touch. In fact, with The One Promise, you'll find this interesting. I decided to put an alternative track on it so that you could hear my version, because it's so personal to me, but I love the way Alasdair sings it, and I wanted that on the album too. So you've got two versions of the same song. But, I guess it's just me. I'm very eclectic in what I'm writing about. Like right now, I was working today on two different songs. One that's really more about a motivational song, like what you were saying at the beginning about, being part of something. And I was inspired to hear about Martin Luther King speaking at Spelman College in 1960. And he had these wonderful quotes that I will probably in some way be derivative of when this song is completed. But he said, if you can't run, then walk. If you can't fly, then drive. If you can't whatever, but you got to keep moving on. And I thought that was such an important message for this moment in time. So I'm working on a song like that that's really got a very bouncy kind of, different feel to it. almost like the song that I have on this album called What's Wrong with Everyone? And I can explain the origins of that song if you like, because I really love a lot of the tricks that I used on that song that I've never used in my songwriting before. But it's really one of these observational songs about what's going on in our society subsequent to the pandemic. But in terms of the songs themselves, they all kind of wrote themselves at different times. Some of them I wrote 4 years ago. Others I wrote over the last year. And so they all just came together in this collection. But I really try not to put any filler material on these albums, that there's nothing where I would say, gee, I really want to skip that tune. I hope they all have melody and they all have lyrical content, and but they all find their way onto this piece. But in particular, I bracketed everything with this 3-song suite to my wife.
Yeah, you mentioned that one of them was personal. Why is that?
Well, I was going through a health crisis last year, and my wife, who is in the medical field, she's a physical therapist, but the way that she approached the needs that I had at that moment, she was so selfless, she was so committed, she really gave me so much to help me get through that. And the song is about the notion, and I don't know, I hope you've never had a real health scare in your life. You sound like a young guy. But having had that, particularly as you're getting on in age, you begin to wonder whether, is this going to be where it all kind of comes apart? Because I've had good health and I've been very fortunate. But she was just incredible during this. And I don't know, during a period when you're going through a scare like that, I'll tell you what happens to me. You begin to make bargains with yourself. And I'm a pretty, healthy guy in terms of exercise and all of that. I don't eat as well as I should, but I'm sure RFK Jr. will help me with that. But at any rate, the point being that you make a lot of deals with yourself when you're going through things. And you say, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And then maybe you do those things like New Year's resolutions for a short period of time, but then you back off them. But this song is called The One Promise, meaning that I may give up all those things that I promised I was going to do, but there's one promise that I will keep, and that is to keep loving you. And so that was the concept behind it.
Oh, that is personal and sweet. Wow. Wow. That's a good record, man.
Well, you should play it. We should play it.
That's a good record. And a good story behind that record, yeah. So, Did I Make You Up is such a heartfelt song. It's such a heartfelt song. And you have a career that spans decades. How do you maintain focus and passion when you're creating music?
I don't know. I mean, I think sometimes as I'm listening to some of the music that's either been recorded or things that I have in my quote-unquote little catalog that I haven't even approached Alasdair to work with me on, but they're still in demo form. Some of them are on Bandcamp if anybody wants to go and listen to things like Speak to the Queen or For the Others, which is about Chernobyl. But I it's interesting. I sometimes go back in my mind and I say, where did that come from? What was the wellspring for this idea or this song? What was I thinking at the time? What was I going through? How long did it take me to write this? How many iterations of it did I put on paper and scratch away and change the lyric, change the melody? And, there are certain songs, you might find this interesting. On the first album, It's Not My Circus, I wrote a song called Party Girl, and it was about a true life story about a woman in Connecticut, and it got a lot of attention, where she was a mom in Fairfield County, and her husband, it is believed, killed her, but nobody really knows because ultimately he killed himself before he could be brought to justice. And it's really her story that I read in an account of who she was with in the 90s when she was a party girl in New York City. And I just found it a fascinating story, but I could never get the hook that I wanted, the chorus that I really wanted. And it really, I went back to it maybe 2 or 3 years later, and I finally finished the song. Though I shouldn't say that, because I think songs may be finished, but that doesn't mean they're really complete. By that I mean you can hear so many artists covering someone's music, and you say, wow, that's incredible. Look what they did with that song. Now, you had to have something as an underlying base to make the song worthy of someone's attention, but you may go back to it time and again and really want to continue working on it and make it even better. And so there were 2 songs on that album where I had to go back. I have another one called Cheap Motel. And I tell everyone that's not the way my wife and I started, in a cheap motel. But it was just a song that somehow came out of the air. And if you hear the really great songwriters, Paul McCartney or Paul Simon, they can't tell you where these things come from. They're just there, and you kind of pick them up whenever you can. I'm working on one now that I really, really love. I just love the verse. I love the melody. I haven't finished it yet, but it's called All I Want Is That Love Too. And the whole idea is you see somebody who's really happy, and you know that what they have is real. And I've been blessed because I've been married for 47 years, so I kind of know what that looks like and feels like. But I'm projecting that I'm looking at a couple, and I'm so enamored with what they have, and all I want is that love too. And so I don't know where that came from, but I jotted it down. I put it in my notes on my iPhone, and ultimately it will come out as a song. I can't tell you how long it'll take. There are certain songs that I start that I can tell you I have a hard time finishing, but I think everyone who works on songwriting, which is really, I've got to say, I've done a lot of things in my career, but it's probably the hardest, but the most rewarding of all the things I've done. It was Adam Gropnik, who writes in The New Yorker, and he's written a couple of books. And I also do a podcast, and I'll plug it, americatrendspodcast.com, and it's about social and political trends, but I do make it a much broader sweep at times. And I had him on, Mr. Gropnik, and he said that songwriting is probably one of the hardest artistic forms because it tries to combine ideas with emotion. And sometimes you can get the idea across, but you can do it and not get the emotional content to deliver it. And he's right. I mean, so there are times, I love this melody, but this lyric isn't working, or vice versa.
Indeed, indeed. All right, listeners, we have some music for you. We don't have the one promise queued up, but we do have Did I Make You Up? And then when we come back, we'll put Larry in our traditional hot seat to where he gets to perform for us if he wants to. He could rap, he could sing, poetry, spoken word, tell a joke, tell a story from his life, play an instrument, give some advice, or do nothing at all. That is cool as well. But for right now, we have Did I Make You Up? Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Our story almost writes itself. Boy meets girl and loses himself. It's no fairy tale. Every word is true. Did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is not all a dream. Did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is really what it seems. say there's really no way, but it's no fairy tale. Every word is true. Did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is not all a dream. Oh, did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is really what it seems. I wish we'd met many years ago, and that's why I refuse to take it slow. It's no fairy tale. Every word is true. Did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is not all a dream. Oh, did I make you up? Did I make you up? Won't you tell me this is really what it seems? Oh, did I make you up? Did I make you up? Tell me this is not.
All right. Tell me this is not all a dream. Yeah, I wish I would have met you years ago. I know that melody's probably wrong, but still awesome song. Man, gorgeous guitar in the beginning. Makes me want to find my wife and kind of just dance a little bit with her, you know? Easy listening. I really, really, really like that song. All right. Let's go ahead and welcome Larry back. Hey, you're back with us and in our hot seat. Are you going to...
By the way, that was Alasdair singing the lead, and I'm singing backup on that song. He's got such a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
And I love hearing his interpretation. Again, that's probably the simplest lyric I've ever written, but it cuts across. So a lot of people tell me they love that song.
Indeed. It's like almost bringing you back to the first time that you realized that you were in love with your lady.
Well, I have to have a pretty good long-term memory since we've been together since she was about 22 and I was 24. So we only had a short courtship, and then we got married at 25 and 23, which today is almost unheard of, I know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so you meet, and next week you're married. Yeah, I thought it was just a Vegas thing, but now it's happening all over.
No.
Oh, really?
So you're going to put me on the hot seat now?
Yes, you're in the hot seat.
Uh-oh. Okay.
What do you feel like doing?
Go on.
I said, what do you feel like doing?
Well, you know, you teased it at the beginning, and I think people might be scratching their head saying, wait a minute, you said something about Barney the dinosaur, and then we just kind of dropped that. That's kind of a hot potato to throw into something about a music project. But do you want me to talk a little bit about that?
Yes, because that deal was amazing for you to even discover and then present it to a wider network. Because of that, my children got a chance to watch Barney and Friends, and learn what that was, and so did I.
Well, I'm grateful for you to say that, and great to know that it's had such impact on millions and millions of young people and families. And it was one of those really interesting things that my daughter and I, Leora, the same one who introduced me to Alasdair, she and her husband now, Peter, but at that time we walked into a home video store. I mean, this is how, the whole concept of but for this happening, this never could have occurred. But for this occurrence, this is the result. And so I just want people to feel the sense that you never know when you're on the precipice of something that really might shake the world up just a little bit, if you can kind of see past the immediate challenges that it presents. But we found a home video, in those days VHS, on the lower shelf in a video store in our hometown. And my daughter wanted to take it home and watch it. And I thought it was rather innocuous. Sure, of course, we'll do that. I was aware at the time, and had in the back of my head, that PBS was looking for some new children's programming to add to Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers. But we weren't really in that game, the station that I was the program director of, Connecticut Public Television. So we went home, and innocently she wanted to watch it and watch it again, and repeatedly asking Dad, come in. In those days, you had to go back and rewind the tape, and so you needed Dad around or Mom around to do that. In any event, I decided to take a look in to see what was so intriguing for this young child who, frankly, was not a videophile, not someone committed to watching endlessly. So when she watched, that told me something. And this is another lesson to kind of share, that your children have so much innate wisdom about what it is that they want, what they think is special, what they feel is educational, because children are entertained by things that educate them because their minds are so open and so malleable at that particular moment. I think most of our real learning goes on, or a significant percentage of it, before we're 5 years old. And even in the first couple of months of life, I've been reading, we have such a tremendous impact by the stimulation. But at any rate, I diverge, which I often do. So, she was excited about it. So the next day, I took the box, the home video box, making certain that it wouldn't be late because I didn't want to pay the penalty. But I did take it to work, and I called Cheryl Leach, who was the woman who created Barney the dinosaur. In that incarnation, it was Barney and the Backyard Gang. And I said, have you ever considered PBS? And we began to discuss how the PBS system really does work. And about 3 months later, we walked away with the biggest grant that we, Connecticut Public Television, had ever gotten from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, $2.25 million, to create 30 episodes of what went from Barney and the Backyard Gang to Barney and Friends. And the really interesting story that I try to tell in a book that I wrote called No Dead Air is the fact that Barney was canceled within the first couple of months that we went on the air, unbeknownst to most people, because they just kept watching the 30 episodes, as children are wont to do, over and over again. But I had to work really hard, not only bringing it to PBS, but also really to save the property. And in the book, I really describe what I did. I played a few tricks to get this thing, really embedded in the minds of decision makers at PBS, that they had made the wrong decision in canceling us. And that was overturned. And we then went on to co-produce the series for 18 years.
Wow. So how tough was it to get the executives to see? Like, what did you do? What did you have to do?
What did I do? Well, I brought Barney and the character and the voice, and they were two separate guys who are brilliantly talented, Bob West and David Joyner. And I brought them to Connecticut. And we went on the air, and we pledged, when we're asking for dollars, as they do all across the country for PBS stations. And we raised $50,000 in the course of one morning. But I kind of skirted some of the host selling provisions. I didn't have Barney asking for money, but he was certainly in proximity when I was asking for money. And so that was a little bit of a no-no. But then I certainly shared our results with other programmers across the system. They were beginning to feel the same impulse in their own markets about how this thing was really resonating, because we were in a competition at that time with two other series, Shining Time Station and Lamb Chop's Play Along, and that was with Sherry Lewis. And so these were better-known properties than Barney was. But anyway, then I brought Barney to the Hartford Civic Center, which is maybe where I should say I would sing my song to my wife, because that's also where the UConn women's basketball team plays, which was another huge success for Connecticut Public Television in bringing UConn women's basketball to television. Of course, they being the greatest team in the history of any collegiate basketball program. But at any rate, brought Barney there, and we had children up and down in the foyer, 5 levels of the Hartford Civic Center, and I had that videotaped by our own technicians, and we sent it around the country to make certain that people saw the incredible Beatle-like response to Barney. And then I had programmers working with me and helping me to get that message across a month later at the PBS meeting in San Francisco in that year. And at the end of the entire convention, PBS indicated that they would get into active negotiations with Connecticut for more Barney and Friends. They'd heard the message loud and clear.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Wow. And that's in your book. What's the title?
It's called No Dead Air. And, if anybody wants to pick it up, it's still available on Amazon. And the subtitle is Career Reflections from the TV Executive Who Saved Barney the Dinosaur from Extinction.
Nice. All right. We'll try to include a link in the show notes so you guys can have that as well. I have a very important question for you, Larry. You've been married for quite some years. And looking back, what's the most important thing that your wife has taught you about not only love, but life?
Well, her dogged determination. When my wife is set about to do something or to commit to something, there is no second gear. She just turns it all the way up. And I've never seen anybody with the type of resilience, the type of determination. And, she will get down to the last detail to get something right. I'm more of an abstractionist, I think, and I don't necessarily dig as deep on certain things as she does, but that's her nature. She just is dogged in the pursuit of whatever it is. And she's a physical therapist and a great one. So when she wants to treat people and help people, there is no boundary to that.
Absolutely. Larry, where can our listeners connect with you on the internet and check out more music?
Well, they can go to rockawayband.com, or they could check out americatrendspodcast.com, and they can find a link to the email. They can find a link tree where they can find where our content is on all of the social media platforms right off of the rockawayband.com website. And I hope they'll check out the music. Southern Border, It's Not My Circus from the first album. They're both up there, and I'd love to hear your comments.
All right, listeners, just in case you didn't get those links, I will include them in the show notes, also in the show description. What an incredible journey we've had with Larry Rifkin tonight, from the heartfelt love songs to thought-provoking satire, a little political talk. Larry's Southern Border is a testament to his artistic brilliance and enduring passion for storytelling. Even with, he called it a simple line, but it says so much when you're in the moment. So thank you, Larry, for sharing your music, your memories, and insights with us. And listeners, be sure to check out Southern Border on all streaming platforms and connect with Larry Rifkin for updates on his musical journey. Don't forget to subscribe to Vigilantes Radio, leave us a rating, share this episode with your friends. And if you'd like to support our show, you can visit buymeacoffee.com/Vigilantes Radio. And until next time, stay inspired and keep listening. Thank you so much, Larry. Have a great night.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. You're great.
Thank you.
Peace to all. My name is Deanie, and I am the host of Vigilantes Radio Live. I think that we are beyond just asking cool questions and getting cool responses. I think that we are here as creatives to provide an example that you can do things different outside of expectations, because some of us simply were not born into the club. But there is perhaps a door, window, or back gate that we can leave a clue for you to get into. Life is short, but there are plenty of moments to try and get it right. Pursuing your dreams and learning from mistakes may be tough, but regret is tougher. To book your interview, email us at vradio@onlyonemediagroup.com. That's a V as in victorious. Or visit onlyonemediagroup.com. I'm counting on you. Heaven, we all are counting on you to step into your purpose and your passion. You are listening to Vigilantes Radio Live on iHeartRadio, providing you with an opportunity to dive deeper.
You are now listening to Vigilantes Radio, the people's choice for quality interviews, art, music, and hot topics. Hosted by Demetrius Houdini Black Reynolds. All episodes of this podcast are available for free download at www.onlyonemediagroup.com.